Hello, beautiful. I am popping in this week to talk about surrendering. This is 100% one of the hardest things to do in your journey when it comes to surrendering, loosening your grip, and letting go of expectations and what things you think should be, right? Because we're literally just making our journey worse when we're like, this is how it's going to be. It's going to work this way. And I need to do it this way, excuse me. And it doesn't happen that way. And a lot of the times we we grasp harder, right? We grip onto, well, I've got to do more. I've got to do X, Y, and Z. I've got to sit down and Google. I know after my 2 failed IVFs, I Googled the shit out of what could have possibly went wrong. Now, not saying that Googling didn't help, because it did eventually lead me to some very valuable answers. But at the same time, during that time of immense heartache, and the physical side of the drugs having to, get out of my system, I should have been focusing on other things, right? I shouldn't have been sat there just holding on harder to what was going on. But I didn't know. But I'm here to help support you on surrendering to the process. And it really goes back to the joy conversation that we had last week and the following your intuition. There's a podcast, it's within the community, and there's also an amazing podcast with Victoria talking about how to trust your intuition. Because when we're going through, let's just take an example of like going through IVF. There's going to be times where you are getting signs from yourself, from God, from the universe, from source, higher self, whatever you believe in, that are really telling you which direction you should go. Because if you've done a round of IVF, there are stopping points, right? Like you just don't enter an IVF cycle and that's it. You have to do the whole cycle. And I've had a one-to-one client come up to many different stopping points during one cycle within 1 week. And she would say things like, well, maybe these are the hurdles I have to jump through. Maybe these are the roadblocks that that I have to go through, and this is how I prove, not my worth, but like just prove myself that I really want to be a mother, because I'm willing to do anything. And I never tell people what to do, because I don't have the answers. I'm a guide and I can show you things that you might not be able to think of because you are in that like headlight blinkers on modality, movement. And I said, okay, if you take away the financial that you've just spent, right? Traveling, the IVF itself, the medication, you take that away, you take away the time that you've spent, you take away the expectation of the what ifs of this cycle. You take those 3 things away, because that's what's really driving you right now. What is your intuition telling you? What is your body really saying to you? And when she got honest with herself, she was like, to stop. And even though it would be very disappointing, because it's going to be disappointing, your intuition doesn't necessarily save you from heartache. It's the right choice. And I said, well, you need to sit with that. and you need to see if that's really what your body's saying. Within the intuition part of the course, there's guided meditations to help you do this. And she did. She stopped the cycle. She went back home and she said, even though I am bitterly disappointed that it didn't work the way I wanted it to work out, and financially, it feels like you just pissed the money away, right? Like just threw it into the air out of a school bus, and that's, where it goes. That I feel so relieved in the decision that I made because it felt right. So remember that you can, when you surrender, when you follow your intuition, you can feel two different emotions during this time, right? You can feel fucked off, bitterly disappointed, and relieved, and knowing that you did the right thing at the same time. And that's usually when you have made the right choice. I know in my journey, when I didn't follow my intuition, obviously I've talked about this several times, it just caused more heartache. It caused more time to be lost. It caused more financial issues, not issues, but just I had to pay out more because things didn't work out. And when I did follow my intuition, it was just an easier path. It didn't mean I necessarily won every single time, or like my journey was so much easier after that. But it just, almost like you take the easier road. So when you allow yourself to surrender and let go of the grip you have and the expectations you once had of your journey, and trust yourself that you are doing the right things physically, or just be honest with yourself and go, where do I need to improve in these things, and focus on those more, right? Another one-to-one client was very caught up on making sure she had the right supplementation, the right diet, all the right things, acupuncture, the vitamin packs, like, all this stuff. And I'm like, how's your sleep? She's like, oh, well, I'm like, I'm like, no, 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 no. Literally, the sleep is going to do you more good on a long-term basis if you are consistent with sleeping than getting the acupuncture, doing the vitamins, having the diet does matter. I'm not going to say the diet didn't matter, but all those tangible things that you think you're controlling your journey with, and forgetting about the other things and just surrender. Like, I don't need to stay up Googling. I don't need to stay up reading. I just need to go to bed. I'm going to surrender. And I know I had to do this in my journey as well. I literally quit my job, and I was in a fortunate position where my husband was in the military, and he got posted anyway. So I had to quit my job. We were leaving, but we just put ourselves in a position where I didn't have to go back to work. And this was a very uncomfortable for me because I was like, well, what am I going to do with myself? I'm not being productive. I'm not earning money. And I really had to surrender that this was going to be me learning to do nothing, and me learning that me doing nothing, like, and this is like nothing, right? Was being productive in my healing and in my growth and in my journey. And I was just able to have the time to do the creative stuff that I loved and that brought me joy, to really tap into journaling and having a really good morning and bedtime routine, which, let me tell you right now, will completely go out the window when you have your beautiful babies. And it just set me up with some good habits. But it was really hard to surrender to that time of my life, and that me working or me doing all the time was not connected to my self-worth. And I had to learn that lesson again after motherhood too. So surrendering to the process and feeling good that you're doing the right steps and knowing that is enough. And then giving your body the time to just heal and regenerate and do the things that it can do, because it now has the energy, because you're not overthinking, you're not over worrying, you're not staying up late, you're not overworking. Maybe you're not like over scheduling yourself with appointments and I have to do this or do that, or I have to work with 3 different coaches. Like just really taking the time for yourself and surrendering. And it's really funny to say now, because I grew up in a Catholic household, and I remember a lot of the times my mom saying, I surrender and I give it to God. And I can relate to that now. Not that I'm giving it to the God she necessarily believes in, but surrendering that I can trust the guidance that we all have above us, wherever you believe in, that it will take us on the right path. So you got to take the inspired action, because remember, we're physical beings on a physical earth. You can't just, I wish you could just sit there and all these things would magically happen. But it goes hand in hand. So I hope that being within this course, and obviously these get turned into podcast episodes, listening to this podcast can really give you the, that confidence that you are doing enough. And if you feel like you don't know exactly where to go, then that's what I'm here for. Reach out to me in the community and ask me these things. Join the live group coaching sessions. Book a one-to-one consultation. If you're listening to this on the podcast, book a discovery call and get that support that you can then feel like you are on the right path and you can surrender to the process now. Surrendering also, it gives you that time freedom as well. So surrendering allows you to go, okay, I'm not gonna plan 3 months, 6 months in advance, and this IVF has to happen then. I see it time and time again that the IVF gets put just too quickly on the calendar. And I would say most of my clients, that IVF doesn't work because they're pushing it too quickly to get. So allowing yourself to surrender and really going, okay, I know I want to utilize IVF, but it probably will be much better if I give myself time before I do that. And it allows yourself time to work on your mental and emotional health, work on your physical health. So surrendering is really fucking hard to do. I'm not gonna lie, but extremely powerful and completely underestimated in all aspects of our life. And it's a skill like everything else that we have to learn. And if we were taught as children to do this, and we probably innately knew this as children, but the way our society has brought us up, it's a lost art. We've really been disconnected from our intuition, from surrendering, from allowing things to flow to us instead of us chasing it. So it's just give yourself grace. Don't get frustrated, especially if you're type A. And just keep practicing and noticing like, hey, I was 6 months ago, I was way better. Like even a month ago, I would have done A, B, and C. Look at what I've done now. Okay, I wasn't perfect, but I'm a lot better. And you just keep building and building from there. And it's the same with following your intuition. It's the same as like bringing joy into your life. It's the same as changing your diet. It's the same as doing the subconscious work. It is something you need to practice and continuously do. And like I always say, it's about I can't think of the word. um, Consistency and not perfection. So I really hope that helps you in your journey. Once again, reach out with any questions here with inside the community, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.